I don't want a lot of videographers shooting in 120 FPS. But there was a time when I was just starting videography and working with clients, which I thought, why not? And it completely fucked me over. So as a videographer, and especially a one-man band, you have to shoot a lot of things, a lot of angles, a lot of coverage, but you don't have a lot of time, and you're responsible for the whole shoot. So it may be tempting if you think later on when you're editing, you're gonna put some shots in slow motion. So why not film everything in 60 or 120 frames per second? Unfortunately, it's not that easy. So besides how slow we can make a clip, another variable in whether to shoot 24 to 120 is a motion blur. 24 frames per second has a natural motion blur, 60 a little less, 120 a lot less. Now here's two reasons why I only go from 24 to 60. If I know something that's going to be played in real time, obviously I'm going to shoot them in 24 frames per second. That's the best option, so I'm going to do that. If I know I'm going to slow down a clip or speed ramp, 60 frames per second is great. Now why not 120? Super slow cinematic footage. You can see a 90-mile-per-hour baseball in slow motion. You see really cool shit. For one, you're not filming that shit. You're not filming that stuff. Let's take a music video when I was a beginner videographer. I'm moving the camera. I'm gonna occasionally do some B-roll of the artist. 120 FPS sounds great. Something you gotta consider, if your camera can handle it. Back then, I'm new to filming. I'm new to this camera. When I shot 120 FPS, I couldn't even export the video in 1080p because the original Sony a7S did 120 and 720. Not even full 1080 HD. Now I am so lucky that that client was blown away with the video that he accepted it in that resolution. But for you guys, I want to save you that heart attack and make sure to know your camera setting. And you know what's a terrible thing? 120 FPS was way too slow. I didn't even use it. I slowed the footage down to 50%. So unless you're a sports videographer or something really high action, then of course this video isn't for you. Part of your job is to get those special moments. You probably have a rig built out for that particular thing. And understand 60 FPS is great for pretty much everything. Music videos, fashion content, recap. Now the second thing, young videographer George thought it was a good idea to film 120 FPS is because I was filming out in bright sunlight. If you film in a higher frame rate, it needs more light in your camera. And so I thought, instead of using an ND filter, why don't I just shoot in 120 FPS? And don't do that. This brings me to my second point, lighting. Whether you're a one-man videographer or not, you're doing so many things. And if you have lights set up, those lights are set up for your exposure set at 24 frames per second. So what do? You probably know. You avoid 120 FPS. It's unnecessary. So learn from my mistakes, think about your production process, and 3, are you even gonna use it once you shoot a 120 FPS? Because a lot of the times you underestimate how slow that clip is. And that's why I wanted to make this video. Please learn from my mistakes. This is part of a series of tips to be a professional videographer, video editor. So check out the series playlist below, and I guarantee it'll be worth it. Thanks for hanging out and watching this video. Have a good one. Cheers.